Welcome to episode 67 of Mitolife Radio. I'm your host, Matt Blackburn. Today, I'm speaking with Phillip Wilson of Relax Far Infrared Saunas. I've actually encountered Wilson numerous times at various health conferences over the years, mostly in my raw vegan days or vegetarian days, when I would say I was quite lost. But we all have our journey, and everyone finds their way to what works eventually. And I would always look at Wilson's little booth he had set up with all his saunas and all the people sitting in them and smiling. And I was always drawn to his setup there. And I don't think I actually ever sat in one. Like most booths, I would kind of just roll my eyes, as he mentions in this talk. People would just, turn up their nose and just walk past. And I don't blame people for doing that. A lot of these conferences, most of the devices there at cancer summits, etc., are just bogus, hogwash. They don't work. They're just pseudoscience. A lot of really flashy language and marketing, but not a lot of substance there. But that's not the case for the Relax Sauna. I think Phillip just understands how to get the word out there, and he's been to a lot of conferences. I think he told me he's 71 now, a lot of spunk, very energetic. And I think it's largely because of his daily sauna use. And he goes into the technology that's in this sauna, how it differs from the other ones. And my history with sauna use is quite extensive because saunas and alkaline diet and veganism and plant-based, that all kind of goes together. But over the years, sauna therapy and sweating has even gotten its way into the paleo circles and rewilding and multiple different circles. And I talked to Phillip about how it's really light therapy. It's really light therapy when we talk about a sauna. And people don't think about that because when they think of a sauna, they might think of a traditional steam sauna that you would see at a gym or something. But to me, that's not a true sauna as far as the benefits that we need in today's context of what we're dealing with now with non-native EMFs, which we go into on how light therapy can help to strengthen your cells. And Phillip's just a wealth of knowledge. He talks about the 4 beneficial effects of far infrared radiation, and it goes way beyond just sweating. And just sweating alone, you're getting out, as we talk about, phthalates and heavy metals, and I've read radioactive particles can actually get out of your body, which is just incredible. But there's actually the structuring of the water, which he briefly alludes to near the end with Gerald Pollack's work on structuring the water in your body. And there's a great book called The Fourth Phase of Water, where he goes into this, and the different wavelengths have different effects. And so I'm a fan of actually using visible red and invisible red and ultraviolet light. And you don't have to use devices for these. Obviously, if you live in Southern California, you live in a desert, you can go outside and sweat and get the same thing from the sun. But you just have to realize you're also going to be getting UV light that can potentially cause photo damage, and usually does cause damage in the tissues because you have lipofuscin and complex polyunsaturated fats, iron, O-estrogen, and other things that actually increase your ability to get a sunburn and to get free radical damage from sunlight, from ultraviolet light specifically. So the benefit of these devices, it's not that we're playing God or we like having all these toys or we're making things really complicated. We're using tools in context intelligently for specific situations. And so if I do back-to-back-to-back podcasts, let's say 4 to 5 recordings in 1 week, or I just got back from a conference, or there's just times when I've just talked nonstop and used my voice a lot more than normal, I'm going to use a tool like a far infrared sauna to get me back on track within an hour versus having to take 2 to 3 days to recover. It's just an acceleration tool for recovery. That's what I've really found. And I'll let Phillip get into the details here. So enjoy the show. we're here with Phillip Wilson. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here. It's always fun to tell people how wonderful the Relax Sauna is and what it can do to transform a person's life and their health.
Yeah, absolutely. I found you actually, I think when I was raw vegan years ago. I'm sure I saw you at 5 or 6 of the conferences. I used to make the rounds down in the San Diego, LA area, and I think it was the Raw Living Expo, probably like 7 or 8 years ago. I saw you there. And
we were at the one in.
I would always. Sorry, go ahead.
we were at the one in Westgate, or not Westgate, but west in LA. We were one in LA not sure. I think the west part of LA, like near Glendale. They had a raw food festival there, and then we were at the Sedona one a couple times as well. And Santa Barbara, that was about 10 years ago, 2009. So, but I think it was the one in LA that we were at.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was the Glendale area, and there's so many things at those conferences that I just kind of shake my head, roll my eyes at. But every time I would see your booth, I'm like, there's something to it. And I've been studying light therapy pretty intensely for the last 6-7 years, and read a ton of books. Into the Light is one of my favorites. Just a lot of clinical research on different wavelengths of light. And I never made the connection that what you're doing, it's heat, but it's really light therapy, right? I mean,
yes, it's light therapy. And I've been into inner sound and inner light for 50 years now. So, there's something very special about light, very special, especially the frequency of the far infrared light.
Yeah, and I definitely want to jump into that. I still have a YouTube video up from years ago when I was living in an RV I was renting from my friends, and I built from Home Depot PVC pipe, like what is it, Dr. Wilson that promotes the near infrared?
Right.
I had
yes,
the
that's
250
my last
watt
name
heat
too.
lamp, like the chicken.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. It gets confusing, right? But I had 4 of those heat bulbs, the 250 watt, and I'm sure that was a ton of electricity. But I would just sit in that naked before and after work, and I was working long hours back then, just grinding, and I did feel like it benefited me, and I felt like it was safer than the sun because you can get UV damage, right? And that's what a lot of people don't realize. That's where the benefit of these devices come in if you really need to target, right?
Yeah, it's concentrated. It's so much more far infrared than the sun gives, and but the sun, I still love the sun, but the far infrared light from the Relax Sauna is very unique and special, as we'll elaborate in the next hour.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking through your website, and you highlight that there are computer programmed ceramic semiconductor chips that filter out all of the non-healing light rays. That's pretty cool.
Well, that was a real dilemma way back about 30 years ago or 40 years ago when they created the Relax Sauna. From 1987 to 1997, they struggled with how to get the near infrared out of the vibration rate, out of the frequency, and how to get the mid infrared out. Because, see, water is a far infrared molecule. It vibrates at 8 microns. And the Relax Sauna sends off the energy of 4 to 14 microns only, which is 4,000 to 14,000 nanometers to those who speak that language. And we, as humans, vibrate at 9.6 microns. Water is at 8 microns. So the water cells is like astrology. It's conjunct. It's the same energy. The water is the same energy, and our bodies are the same energy as the light being emitted. So because it's coming at us and we don't see it as different from us, we don't try to resist it. And the resistance is the opposite of absorption. And so the Relax Sauna, being 99% far infrared energy, and it took them 10 years to figure out how to do that, is like they had an aha moment. It's like in the invention of the sewing machine. He had a dream and he was shown. And I believe the people in Taiwan had an aha moment, or they were shown, and they don't even realize the impact of their invention, because when you're in the Relax Sauna, you experience the chi. And I don't like Dr. Bill Ackpiner. He wrote a book called No Sweat, N-O sweat, No Sweat, K-N-O-W sweat. Basically reclaiming your health, and the definitive guide to reclaiming your health. And it's all about the history of sweating. And he quotes Hippocrates in there saying, find me a way to create sweat or fever, and I will cure disease. Not that I might, not that I could, but that I will. And that's the secret. Because when you with the far infrared energy, since it's the same energy as the water cells and the organic cells of your body and all mammals, it's absorbed, and it causes the water cells to pulsate. So what does far infrared do? It does one thing only. And near infrared doesn't do this, mid infrared doesn't do it. Only far infrared resonates with the water cells. That's all it does. And the resonating of the water cell, it's like love, it's like divine love. You just sit there, and it's the same energy as you, so you just absorb it. And it causes your water cells to pulsate. The resonating causes the water cells to pulsate. So if every cell in your body, and hence every organic cell in your body, not any titanium rods, not any heart pumps, none of that is affected. Only the water and organic cells start pulsating. That's like 100 people in a small room dancing. It's going to get hot. So that's the key to increasing, body temperature, is another way of saying it's going to create a fever. And it's just a temporary fever. You get out, and 20 minutes later, you don't have a fever. So it causes the increase in core temperature of the body. Now, what does that do when you have a fever? Well, naturally, when I was a kid and I'd have my 3-day cold or flu, that's just the way it worked. And after the second day or the third day, I'd wake up totally soaked in bed, but feeling incredible. And so the sweating gets the toxins out. See, there's a book by Tilden from maybe the 1930s. He said the cause of all disease is toxemia. So the cause of all disease is when you get toxins built up in your body in a natural environment. And you and I are both, I've right now I do a lot of raw foods. I'm mostly vegan now. I've been, it's like the body chemistry changes. And when the body chemistry changes, you don't want to be stubborn. You want to listen. And we can't be attached to any particular discipline. Like I experienced with macrobiotics. I was a fruitarian for a while back in the 70s, in my early 20s. And then all of a sudden there's a shift. And if you're tuned in, see, a corner turns. I was meditating once, and they said a corner turns, and you have to listen. And I was even given the phrase momentum, taking advantage of the moment, propelling yourself into greatness. And that means that's different than living in the moment. When you take advantage of the moment, it means you're living in the moment and listening to that inner nudge, that inner guidance. Because when the rules change, when you graduate from high school and you're in college, the rules change. You can't act like a high school senior. You have to act like a college freshman. And this is part of all life. You go from one plateau to the next plateau. And it's like a step function. And all of a sudden, it's like you die from being a college senior, and you're born from being a high school senior, and you're born into being a college freshman. And that's the process. And Rumi said, as in a poetry, when have I ever been less by dying? I died as a mineral, I became a plant, I rose to animal, then I became a human. What makes me think I shall ever be less than dying? And with every death, there's a rebirth. So death is the beginning of life. And people are afraid of it, and that's what drives me crazy, because fear. If you have love in your heart for all life, then fear can't exist, and that's what happens when you get in the relaxed sauna. All your water cells start pulsating. I haven't figured it out yet, but you either birth lymphocytes, because of the warmth. It's like the heat creates them, or you activate them. They come out of hiding. And the lymphocytes, or the white blood cells, or whatever you want to call the essential part of the immune system, they go and do their job and get anything that's a foreign to the body and get rid of them. They either eat them up or they expel them through the lymphatic system. And that's the beauty of what the relaxed sauna does. It does, it does one thing. It resonates with the water cells, which causes the water cells to pulsate. And then from that, you have four effects. Like the first one I explained, you mobilize the immune system, and that gets the toxins out of the body. Now, the problem with some detoxification formulas is they get the toxin maybe out of the liver, out of the lung, or wherever, but then you don't have enough oomph to get it out of the body. And so whatever doctor protocol you're working on, if you then get into the relaxed sauna, that will mobilize the lymph, and instead of playing musical chairs where the toxin gets out of the lung and settles in the kidney, you keep it going and it gets out of the body through the sweat, through the urine, or through the colon, and even through the lungs. And that's really important. So the mobilizing of the lymphatic system is number one. Number two, you could say it increases the microcirculation. And that's because the pulsating of the water molecules gets the hydrogen and oxygen cell, the angle between the two hydrogens and the oxygen is the vertex of the angle, and the pulsating of the water molecule causes the water cell to get smaller. You get smaller water cells, you get smaller blood cells. So it's really, really exciting. So therefore, you increase the microcirculation. And that's why people who go in the relaxed sauna, and this isn't true for all the other saunas. It is true to an extent, but maybe like a 22-inch bicycle with training wheels will still get you to the grocery store, but it won't be as pleasant as a 26-inch professional bike. So we were at a Lyme conference in Boston a couple of years ago, and this one lady had Lyme disease for 2.5 years, and as a result of the Lyme disease, she had a neuropathy. She had no feeling in her fingers and her toes. She got in the relaxed sauna. In 12 minutes, she had feeling in her fingers and toes for the first time in 2.5 years, and she has used another portable sauna a dozen times, an hour at a time, and never had that feeling in her fingers and toes. Because, see, when you buy a supplement, you look at the dose. You buy a vitamin C, for example. It's got 100 milligrams. That's nice. You find another one that's got 250, 500, 1,000 grams. 1,000 milligrams, which is 1 gram. Well, people, when they look at saunas, and they say, oh, okay, well, this one's cheaper. Yeah, well, the relaxed sauna is 1,500 watts. Most of them are only 1,000 watts. And there's a beautiful review on reddit.com. I don't even know the man. He did this in February of 2017, and he said that he bought an Amazon sauna for $250, and it only increased core temperature 0.5 degree. And the heart rate variability that it talked about in Sherry Rogers' book and in PubMed.com. Sherry Rogers wrote a book called Detoxify or Die. And in the book, she points out all the research on far-infrared ray. She had like dozens of patients who were chemically sensitive and having big problems, environmentally sensitive and having many health problems. And they're basically left to dead by the establishment physicians, that in all due diligence, they really tried to help, but they were not able to because they didn't have the tools. And Sherry Rogers was something like a functional or integrative medical doctor, and she used far infrared saunas. And boom, she got them all back to being healthy lifestyles. And so there's a lot of research stemming back probably from the 60s and 70s, from Japan initially, Germany, China, talking about what far infrared can do. Between 4 and 14 microns is the main. So this guy on reddit.com tried to replicate what the research said far infrared saunas will do. And all the heart rate variability tests failed for the cheaper sauna, the $250 sauna, and then the $500 Amazon sauna. They only increased core temperature 0.5 degree. So here he is, really believing in far infrared ray. So he says, okay, there's a couple saunas out there that sell for higher. I'll buy the relaxed sauna. It's 1,500 watts, and that's a whole lot more than 1,000 watts. That was his deciding factor. He didn't realize that that the big difference between the relaxed sauna is that it's the technology, using the semiconductor chip technology you mentioned, that took 10 years for the relaxed sauna to figure out how in the world to do, that technology creates about 98% far infrared ray by filtering out the near and the mid, which do not resonate with the cells in your body. So the more far you have, the more effective it is. So, if you use the simple math, the Amazon sauna at 1,000 watts, 36% for the generic carbon impregnated filters, just the cloths, and they have corrugated plastic in there and laminated plastic. But the energy emitted by those is only about 360 watts. And the relaxed sauna is 1,500 watts at 98%, so that's about 1,400 watts. The relaxed sauna uses the tent as a mirror, and that's another secret to why the relaxed sauna doesn't cost $10,000, $12,000. We use the tent as the mirror because a cat needs to lie in the sun, not in the shade. Or not that they need to. They don't lie in the shade. They lie in the sun because then they absorb the far infrared light. And it's a very, very beautiful experience to watch the process, Well, I've talked a bit. I'll let you say something, and then I'll continue along my train of thought, because I just talked about the two. There's much more. There's much more that makes the relaxed sauna unique. All saunas are great. If you got an inexpensive Amazon sauna, I used one for a year. I loved it, but there was a night and day difference in effectiveness and the efficiency and the quickness when we finally got the relaxed sauna in a year after I've been using the other sauna.
I love it. Yeah, thank you for all that. That was all great. I made like 10 different points, basically different roads we can go down, but I'll just make a lot of the points really quickly here.
Well, the way I work...
like what you said about the...
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, the way I work is that, I've these lingering strands that come to us. I just pop onto them. I call that a nudge, and I just say, okay, and then I get off course. And it's always amazing how we always get everything covered by the end of the 60 minutes. We come about face, and sometimes it drives people crazy. Well, he didn't finish. Well, just hang in there, be in the moment. It'll come, and all your questions will be answered. I've just observed this. This is how it works through me, and I just love it. I just love the way it works because, you get so much, and then you have to take a break.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, and I'm bored with most interviews, so I like doing a different kind of guerrilla interviewing style, and I like to kind of confuse the guest or kind of throw them off, just, kind of go, like they think I'm going this way, and then I just go 90-degree angle and see how they react.
That's
and you
beautiful.
Usually get better answers that way.
Right, exactly.
But I like what you said about the lymphocytes. I used to work 3 jobs and just work all teaching and delivery driver, all these things, and just talking nonstop all day. And I think a lot of people are in that boat where they're either telemarketing or doing demos at Costco or Whole Foods or whatever, and just using their throat a lot and talking. And I would get sore throats all the time until I got into sauna therapy. And to me, that's my number one use of it. If I just have talked too much, it's just like nothing works on my throat like that. And of course, I combine it with different herbal sprays and stuff that I use, but mainly the infrared on regenerating my vocal cords. It's incredible how that works.
We have a lady in LA who said her voice was raspy for years. And after she started using the relaxed sauna, she had a wooden sauna for 5 years. And then when she moved, she gave it to her son because he said, I'm not going to put this back together again. No way. And so what she did is she bought the relaxed sauna. And when she first saw it at the Conscious Life Expo, she looked at it and said, no way. But somehow I convinced her it was different. The relaxed sauna was more effective, and she ended up buying one. And she said that her voice returned to normal. And she's been a strong proponent of the relaxed sauna for about 10 years now. And because it is magical. It's not a wooden sauna. it's far more because the technology. The wood saunas are great, and I love them, but the wood does not generate any. The pretty wood does not generate far infrared ray. You look at the technology of the generators of the far infrared ray, and the way far infrared ray works, you have to be in front of it, and like a cat lies in the sun, not in the shade. And so people look at the relaxed sauna, and it's got a fan in there that's blowing the heat off of the radiators, just like a computer has a fan. Without a fan, our computers would not work because the semiconductor chips or the computer chips get hot. If they get too hot, it's dangerous, and so it stops. So we have a fan in there. It has nothing to do with the far infrared ray, except that it keeps the semiconductor chips cool so that they can continue to generate the far infrared ray energy. And what the uniqueness of the relaxed sauna to any other sauna I've seen, and there may be a couple, but we use the tent as a mirror, because far infrared light, they don't teach you this in seventh grade, and I just don't understand why. They don't teach you that far infrared light or far infrared energy is a light that comes from the sun, and even though it's invisible, it is still reflected by a mirror. And because it's a light, it goes 186,000 miles per second. That's pretty fast. And even though it's a light, but it's still like X-ray goes through clothes. Well, the relaxed sauna, the far infrared energy, it also goes through clothes. And we all know this. We all know this because on a cold day or a hot day, if we're wearing a sweater and our back is to the sun, and we feel all this so wonderful warmth in our whole body, the deep penetrating warmth. Or if we're lying on the beach, we feel the deep penetrating warmth. We also feel the hot on our skin. That's the ultraviolet light. The sand gets hot from ultraviolet light. But how do the turtle eggs hatch? How do the turtle eggs hatch? The far infrared light goes through the sand and resonates with the water in turtle eggs and activates the embryo to grow into a turtle. Isn't that amazing? No one else talks about this. It's something I sort of just recognized. But the sand does not get hot in between those 2 inches, but the water in the turtle egg does pulsate. That gets the turtle egg hot enough where it starts the process of growing into a turtle. And the same thing with snakes. With snake eggs or any reptile eggs, where the reptiles put this, they got an agreement with the sun. It's just amazing. They put their eggs about an inch and a half, 2 inches below the surface so that the sun's energy will reach it and the predators won't be able to get it.
That's incredible. Have you heard of the book Reverse Aging by Sang Wang, who's a Japanese fellow? And I read it years ago, and there was a whole section on infrared and far infrared. And my favorite part of the book is that he said that sleeping next to a partner, you actually live longer because you're reflecting each other's far infrared waves back and forth. Whereas if you're just single and sleeping alone, you're just sending those out and they're not being reflected back at you. I think the reflective nature of far infrared is pretty fascinating.
Well, I met both he and his wife for 2 or 3 years in a row at the Florida chiropractor conferences in the early 2000s when we first started selling the sauna. And I do have his book, and I had a nice conversations with both of them. And yes, this is very true. And far infrared energy is miraculous because we are all far infrared light beings. And so when we hug someone, we're generating far infrared light. And, it's probably about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, a number of young women in their early 20s would say, they get in the relaxed sauna at the conference, they said, "Oh my gosh, I feel like my grandma's hugging me." And then about 5-6 years later, I started, people, they walk by the relaxed sauna. Maybe they already have a wooden sauna. Maybe they know nothing about the healing benefits of saunas and what it can do. And they snub their nose. And so the easiest way to get a person in is saying, it feels like your grandma is hugging you. and then I have to qualify it. And one person said, "Not my grandma." I said, "Oh, so it feels like your loving grandma is hugging you." And then, and
There's
then,
always exceptions, right?
yes, there are always exceptions. And then I also say it's like a cross between being hugged by your loving grandma and basking in divine love. And that's a pretty good description. Then I add a couple others. It's like being in the womb. It's like being on the beach in Hawaii, or it's like being in the presence of a qigong master. And
That's awesome.
Dr. Bill yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Dr. Bill Akpinar wrote a book that I talked about, No Sweat, No Sweat, a definitive guide to reclaiming your health. And in the book, he talks, well, not in the book, but he's the one that talks about the history of sweating and what it can do. And what he said to me is that these other saunas are not going to increase heat shock proteins nearly as much as the relaxed sauna does. And he calls the relaxed sauna a qigong sauna because he is a qigong master. He's an oriental medical doctor. He's an acupuncturist. He's a medical doctor in New York City, Long Island. He uses ozone therapy in his practice, and he was voted best cancer doctor in New York City in 2007. So he comes with a litany of titles, or he's accomplished a lot in his life, and he knows what he's talking about, and he knows that the relaxed sauna is by far the most innovative far infrared or infrared sauna out there, because it increases the chi, because of the fact that we do 98% far infrared energy. And again, it's like for 10 years I'm communicating this to people, and I don't get any response. People can't relate to the fact, oh, so it's 98% far infrared energy, and the other saunas are only 36%, and it's like as if they didn't even hear me. I'm saying you're getting 5 times more far infrared ray energy. It's like the 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C is more effective than 100 milligrams, and sometimes 100 milligrams of vitamin C won't work. It won't do what you want it to do, but a gram will. And if you take them every hour, you're always going to have vitamin C. That's going to help for dealing with the flu and stuff like that. But at any rate, so what I finally, because of that article I talked about, the review of the relaxed sauna on reddit.com, that opened up the floodgate. He said the other saunas cannot increase core temperature, only 0.5 degree. So here's something that's measurable. The relaxed sauna increases core temperature 3.2 degrees in 25 minutes. And Dr. Paul Anderson has a cancer clinic in Washington State in the Seattle area, and he can increase core temperature 4.2 degrees with his cancer patients when they're doing IV vitamin C therapy. And I also met a man at the Paleo Conference in Austin about 2 years ago, and he came to me a year later and said, hey, the relaxed sauna will increase core temperature 3.2 degrees, the same number, all the time, and the gym saunas, they are not able to do that. And that's the key, increasing your core temperature. Hippocrates, find me a way to create fever or sweat, and I will cure disease.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can definitely relate, because I've used tons of the wooden saunas. I used to sneak into gyms with my friends and use theirs back in the day when I was a degenerate, and those definitely took forever for me to heat up. And then when I bought my own, and specifically I used yours, it's like within 15 minutes I have a sweat. And I noticed too, and I've told people this, and one of my friends, former mentors, colleagues, Robert Cassar, has said this too with saunas. Great. It's like, he's interesting, that the pores, if you haven't sweat in like years, like a lot of Americans or people just that have an indoor existence, if you haven't sweat and the pores are just locked shut, this has been my experience, because it was just a philosophy he shared. And I'm like, well, let's see if this is true. And to me, it was true. Like if I don't use the sauna for months, like 3, 4, 5 months, and then I go in, it takes so long to start sweating. But if I do it consistently, like once or twice a week, like consistently, then I'll sweat faster. And so I think that's like a question a lot of people probably ask you too. It's like, why aren't I sweating? But if they haven't sweat in like years, right? It's just their pores are so clamped shut and they have to like train their body to sweat again, right?
Well, Dr. Roger Billica, he used to be the director of medical operations for NASA for 10 years. And he has a clinic in Fort Collins, Colorado called Life Clinic. And he says that when his patients using the relaxed sauna, finally after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whenever, those who are really ill, once they start sweating, there's a remarkable change in their healing journey. They start healing much, much more quickly. And so, what's interesting is that my ex-wife would be putting people in the relaxed sauna all the time, and she never found someone she couldn't make sweat. She was a midwife for sweating, and one lady it took 51 minutes to get her to sweat. And as soon as she started sweating, you had 3 doctors at a medical conference with their credit cards ready to buy one. But usually, like I was at a dentist show, a biological dentist show, and one lady had not sweated in 10 years and the other lady had not sweated in 20 years. And within 15, 20, 22 minutes, they were all both sweating. And so it's a release. It's like the inability of men to cry. Once you're able to cry, you're able to release. And once you can release, I like to say the water's got to get out. So you might as well laugh instead of cry. and being in the sauna,
I like that.
Yeah, being in the sauna is like, laughing because you one of the side effects of the relaxed sauna and is joy. It's joy. And the other one is euphoria is the other side effect. These are some things, that it just happens. You just feel joyful. You feel mentally alert, spiritually tuned in. There's a little extra pep in your step. You just feel alive, aware. And this is why Dr. Bill Akpinar, author of the book No Sweat, No Sweat, why he says this is the Qigong sauna, because the Qi in your body is starting to be activated. And the other saunas don't have enough oomph. They don't have enough far infrared ray energy to do it. They're great. They have a lot of benefits. I would never say not to do another sauna. I would never, ever say that another sauna is dangerous, because of the EMF. Dr. Robert O. Young, who's quite famous for his book, The pH Miracle, says he's never found a sauna where the EMF would interfere with the effectiveness of the far infrared ray. And the relaxed sauna having 10 times more far infrared energy than than any other, portable sauna, and at least 4 or 5 times more far infrared ray. People don't realize that there's research in Japan that says that far infrared antidotes the negative effects of EMF. And when we talk about EMF, household appliances can't hold a candle to the danger of a cell phone or Wi-Fi, let alone 5G. I know there's a man, he's a scientist, he's out of Pennsylvania. He bought a relaxed sauna from us about 12, 14 years ago. He says it's as good as new. It's one of the videos on testimony. If you go to Relaxed Saunas, Testimonials EMF, he's one of the ones who talks about it. But he says the energy from the relaxed sauna energy in terms of EMF, it's a cell phone is 100 times more dangerous. So I asked Dr. Klinghardt, you're familiar with him, and his partner got a relaxed sauna from us at the autism conference. We let her take it up to the hotel room, and she, in one session, her elbow pain that she'd had for a year was gone and hasn't come back. So they bought a sauna from us in May, and then when Dr. Klinghardt was a guest speaker at a conference in Chicago 2 months later, the Psychotronics conference, they bought another sauna because they have a location in London and a location in Seattle. And so, she just totally loves the sauna, and says Dr. K has also used it. So I asked Dr. Klinghardt as a Dietrich, when people they carry a cell phone and they ask about the EMF in the relaxed sauna, and he said, "Yeah, I know." Like, it's like, my blender, my juicer has 10 times more EMF. And when I juiced for 20 minutes, and I'm like, my chest is right in front of it, and it's okay. I never feel any repercussions from it. But the beauty in the relaxed sauna is the only EMF is by the feet. There is absolutely hardly any EMF because there's no electricity above your knees. But because a lot of times people, it's like they have a measuring device, okay, and the measuring device says there's EMF. Well, that's nice. Do you believe in your device, or do you believe in your body's ability and your attunement with your inner connection to realize that the far infrared ray is not allowing the EMF to damage you, because it's an antidote for EMF. I know there's a musician in Philadelphia. He got in the sauna, and he says, "I'm really, really sensitive to EMF." But his friend said, "Hey, this is great." And he got in and said, I can sense, not feel, I can sense the EMF there by the radiators, but it's not getting in, because the far infrared ray from the relaxed sauna radiators is preventing it. And so, I would say that the relaxed sauna generators act as an EMF protector. And there are 4 people who specialize in Arizona and in LA who specialize in helping you have a home that is free of EMF. And they all have relaxed saunas in their home, and they all love it. One lady, after she tested 4 people's homes for EMF, and she sells a little device. She just clips it on and says, "Well, just for extra protection, just get one of these." And but she saw that 4 of her clients all had relaxed saunas, and then she met us at a show, and then she ended up buying one herself, and she gave us a testimony. So it confounds me the marketing ploys of other companies, and they mean well, but they don't know what they're talking about. They really, it's just, yeah. You can probably elaborate on there. You've been in the relaxed sauna for a number of years, and have you ever experienced any EMF damage?
No, not at all. I'm really glad you addressed EMFs, because I think that's the number one concern when they see your sauna and then the giant wooden ones, especially that are selling for $4,000, $5,000. I've even seen $6,000 wooden saunas. And, there's like 2 big names that people in the biohacking space sell. And I think, they market with like, no off gassing, no EMFs, but it's really, you're just trying to sweat and get the job done. And why would you spend an extra $3,000-4,000? Like for years, I would just throw a Sauna, or there's different companies making these activated charcoal packs you can get on Amazon.
Yes.
$8.
Right.
Throw those in the sauna. It just absorbs all the VOCs. It's like all this psychodrama, and people just so, because there's all this fear about EMFs and like just hysteria. And I really like that you brought up that light's the antidote, because I think it's not only far infrared light, but just light in general. Like for me, it's visible red, invisible red, UV light, and good water. If you have good drinking water, you have magnesium in your red blood cell, you're getting sufficient light hitting your tissues and your blood, then like you said, you're resistant to EMF. So I think people just have the wrong philosophy with EMFs. Like they want to like block everything and like live in like a Faraday cage, but that's not a way to live. You just want to get so strong that you could resist these fields. And there's exceptions. Like if you're in a big city like LA or San Diego or Austin or a big, New York, then you have to take extra measures. But, I'm glad you brought that up. But I wanted to make this point real quick. Have you seen those liposomal products, like the detox kits? I actually pulled one up. I won't name the company, but most people know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like a cube detox kit for $1,700. And it's liposomal glutathione and vitamin C. I just roll my eyes at this kind of stuff, because you could spend, just $1,000 on your sauna and drink good, clean water and get a very similar effect, instead of having to buy their $1,700 detox liposomal kit every month or 2 months or 3 months, whatever it is. I prefer protocols that it's a one-time purchase and then you can just use it forever. And that's kind of what the sauna is to me. It's like you do the protocol as much as you want after you invest.
What people like about the relaxed sauna is the longevity. There are many people, there's probably a dozen interviews I've done with people who've had their saunas 10, 12, 14, even 16 years and say it works great. It works just like new. Sometimes the tents do wear out if you don't treat them well after 4, 5, 6 years, like reupholstering furniture. But the radiators will last a long time. We say that they'll last 5 to 7 years in a clinical setting. But, I don't, and they had one set a relaxed sauna generator. It's a double generator in Taiwan for 9 years going 24/7. And then there was a power failure. So they quit their experiment. But it does go a long time. They work well. And the generators themselves cost $1,000 for just the 2 generators. And then the tent and the chair and everything, right now in 2020, they sell for $1,300 online. But the relaxed sauna is not a $1,300 sauna. It's a $2,000 sauna. It sells in Taiwan for $2,000. So the relaxed sauna is more comparable to the $4,000, $5,000 wooden saunas that are made, well in America, or not in America necessarily, but are made with, real wood and all that junk. And in the portable saunas, the $850 saunas, they're the same technology as the $250, $300, $400 saunas. They have carbon panels, which are very primitive and only generate about 35%, 36% far infrared ray. Some of the other saunas have, whatever they have, they're putting in near infrared light bulbs, they're putting in stones, they're putting in other stuff. But it's bells and whistles. It's the far infrared ray energy, the pure. We've had this sauna with no changes for 20 years in the technology, because once we discovered it. And we've had some cosmetic changes, but not in the radiator. The radiators are the same semiconductors we've been using for over 20 years. And the company is 40 years old. And also the point you brought out about the tent. There's a guy who's got a Facebook page who doesn't understand lab reports, and he is bad mouthing the relaxed sauna tent, saying it's full of toxins, it's full of stuff. Oh my gosh, he just says you don't want one of these, which is basically a form of slander and libel. But hey, to each their own. I believe that in fake news, real news, it's all the same. You have to decide what to believe and not to believe. And I don't believe in belief.
Yeah, that was actually one of our Q&A questions. Like, is there off-gassing of chemicals? What is the material made of? Stuff like that.
We had a test. We tested the sauna tent. Now, here's the way it works. You test the laboratory for parts per billion of these volatile gases, and 15 gases measured, in it. Then they brought the relaxed sauna in. They took the relaxed sauna, they stuck it on for 30 minutes, and as soon as the 30 minutes was over, they measured the volatile gases in the laboratory. Of 15, 8 went up and 7 actually went down. And the difference was negligible on all 15 parts. So what this guy on Facebook was saying, and he had a YouTube video before, I think they took it down because it was sort of like libel or slander. And he said the relaxed sauna is dangerous. Look at all these volatile chemicals. Well, the volatile chemicals were in the laboratory before, and there was no negligible difference. But this is how people can interpret things. And frankly, I think a carpet or the paint has more, than the relaxed sauna. Now, we used to, for the first 4, 5, 6 years, we used to get the relaxed saunas in, and no one ever complained about any kind of smell. But now that we're selling so many relaxed saunas, we're getting them in like shortly after they've been made, and it's like a new car smell. It is made with nylon, and it is nylon, and it's coated with a coating that has real silver in it. And I think they're made by a company in Taiwan that makes spacesuits for NASA or something like that. So it's a very reputable company that makes the tents, and all it is nylon, and that silver coating. And it's anyone who has, like, I happen to like cotton and natural fibers, and so I use cotton sweats. I use, but some people have nylon sweats. A lot of athletes have nylon. And so the danger of their clothes is probably more, as dangerous as the Relax Sauna tent, which is nil. It's not at all. And like what you said, you can just get those carbon packs and stick them in.
That's what I like to do. I even do that in the wooden saunas I've used, because there's still plastic speaker thing. And it's like with EMFs, I think the people that get on you about the EMFs, I would bet like $1,000 that they don't put their phone in airplane mode when it's in their pocket, that they have it on their lap when they're driving. I see this with health nuts all the time. It drives me nuts. Right on the genitals, they rest the phone there while they're driving this metal box.
Right.
Or right to their head, right? They're not always using speaker, and never ever putting it to their head. So I think, it's just people get kind of neurotic about different things in health. And that's why I post pictures of me eating a burger here and there, a cheeseburger, and different things, just to let people know, like, health is not just about being on everything. Like, you have to let go. You have to go out with your friends and family and have fun, right? That's what health is. It's not being neurotic about EMFs and 5G and off-gassing, and you'll go crazy, right? I mean, we have solutions, so do your best, but try not to micromanage your life, because I think that's not healthy, right? It's like you can be unhealthy trying to be healthy.
So, I have no rules. I don't believe in rules. Rules are temporary to get you to See, I had a dream, and I was told not to eat potatoes, tomatoes, and mushrooms. This is in the early 70s. I wasn't eating them anyway. And then a couple months later, I went to dinner with my mom and my aunt, and two of them were in the salad. And I just listened, and I got to go ahead, eat them. So, I ate them, and then I realized that was the consummation of the fact that my discipline was over. In other words, the fact that the discipline was over, I had to break the rules to be free of a rule controlling me. Because I don't want to be controlled by anything but living in the moment and letting the direct connection with that which is guide my actions and attitudes and behavior. And it's just totally listening, absolute reliance on that inner guidance is what it's all about. And this thing about fear, people would say, you know what's 10 times worse than EMF? 10 times worse, 100 times worse, the fear of EMF.
Fully agree. Yeah, and I think people are getting sick with this virus just from being in fear, right? Because fear lowers the immune system.
You got it. And again, it's like, I am like aghast, okay, at the behavior of people. I mean, I don't want to go into that right now. I don't want to get myself into any kind of trouble, but the fear is like, I put it, there's from The King and I, when I'm afraid, whistle a happy tune. I post that on my Facebook page. You guys got to start whistling. This is crazy. I don't even, but there's something called MedCram 46, MedCram 47, and MedCram 55, where they all talk about the benefits of sauna in the first 2-3 days of being sick with the flu or a virus. That's the time when saunas can be extremely helpful. And so, we are getting phone calls left and right, because even Dr. Akpenar, who uses IV therapy, ozone, and ultraviolet light, he says light and ozone and heat from far infrared. Those are 3 secret ingredients that will perform miracles. Dr. Robert O. Young, I'm not sure familiar with him. He wrote the pH Miracle, and he's for alkalizing the body. And again, I think he's got incredible wisdom, And he has been using wooden saunas and recommending wooden saunas probably for 20, 30, 40 years, for all I know. And he got a relaxed sauna at the cancer conference from us 5 years ago and gave me a 2-minute interview on the spot. And at the cancer conference in September, he gave me a 17-minute interview. And he can explain why and how a relaxed sauna works so well. They really get the job done. They do. And of the saunas that he uses, he's got, 10, 20,000 wooden saunas, and he uses the relaxed sauna because it works quick. It does the job. It gets the job done. 30 seconds, I'm sweating. I've been doing the relaxed sauna for 18 years now, almost every morning. And so I've been in the relaxed sauna at least 6,000 times. And I do it for 20 minutes and have an incredible sweat. It takes me 30 seconds to feel warm and toasty, 8 minutes to start sweating, 15 minutes I'm dripping, and 20 minutes I'm drenched. And that's the average. Some days it's quicker, some days. And then what I'll do is I'll get out and drink some water, and then I'll come back and do another 20-minute sweat. And those 2 towels on my sauna, they're wet. I put a folded towel on the chair. I drape another towel over the chair, and they're both soaked after a 20-minute, especially after 2 20-minute sweats. And on spa day for Phil, that's the magic. I do it 3 times, always doing water in between. And yeah, it's magical. You feel like you've been at the spa for 9 hours in 1 hour.
I definitely feel that. I was going to ask you too about the towels, because that's something I was trying to figure out. So you put a folded one
on the
pretty
chair,
much under your butt that you're sitting on,
right,
and then one over the chair.
Yes.
And you could even put like hand towels on the foot things, right? Because I noticed those can get hot.
Exactly. And you can put them on the floor of the tent. I don't sweat. I sit in half lotus position 80% of the time in the sauna. Oh, and I duck my head a lot too. Sometimes I like to see, we're the pro-choice sauna. We give you the choice to put your head in or out.
Also, I used to like sit completely in those and then shut, put something over the top.
You don't even need to put anything over the top because it's not the heat.
Wow.
It's not the heat. It's the light. After 10 years of using the sauna, I would get too hot, like we talked about, and I'd have to do all this exercise and move my chest and move my head to be able to handle it. And finally, after 10 years, I realized all I had to do is unzip the zipper. As I call it, sophisticated temperature control.
Philip, do you want to do a quick rapid fire Q&A? We have like 15 questions, and a lot of them are pretty simple, but are you up for that?
Let me quickly finish the 3rd and 4th things that the relaxed sauna does, or the far infrared does.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Besides increasing microcirculation, which helps for neuropathy, for arthritis pain, for getting rid of inflammation, for getting rid of scar tissue, for helping with Raynaud's syndrome, and the microcirculation helps for the heart. The Mayo Clinic says all their heart patients should never use regular saunas because the heart has to race to find an equilibrium. But far infrared saunas is actually, great and very healthy for them. The 3rd thing that the relaxed sauna does, and I had a lady who has a $5,000 wooden sauna, use the relaxed sauna for a half an hour and come back to me and say, after 8 to 10 minutes, I experienced the deepest, most profound relaxation I have ever had in my life. And so what the relaxed sauna does, and I've noticed this from day one, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And so it balances the feeling and thinking qualities within you. It gets you tuned in and gets the flight or fight motion out of you. And that's why people says, I sleep better. I don't have any anxiety. I feel tuned in. And then the 4th thing it does, it activates the mitochondria to create ATP and nitric oxide. So you feel energized. But the true energy, like I used to do caffeine and coffee for 10 years, and I quit when I was 22. I did it from age 12 to 22, and that was over 50 years ago. And so that's like a nervous energy. But in the relaxed sauna, you get down to that grounded point where you feel connected. And as soon as you feel connected, all of a sudden you start getting energized by a real energy. And that's the 4th thing that it does. So let's answer your questions now. I'm ready.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I made a little list of those. That's super cool. And actually, one more question before we start. I noticed you have a black model that's a little
Yes.
more expensive, like 2 different versions.
Right.
Is the materials the only difference? Is that the difference, or
The radiator is exactly the same. The chair is exactly the same. The poles are exactly the same. It's the tent is made out of a more reflective material, and we do get better results with a black sauna, and it does work a little bit more effectively. Maybe it reflects better. It's thicker. It's embroidered. It looks beautiful. It's got an embroidered emblem on it. And so if you are willing to pay $5,000 for a piece of art, and 2 feet by 3 feet, and the one for $200 just doesn't turn you on, then this is the prestige sauna for. But in terms of the $1,300 sauna works 4 to 10 times more effectively than any other sauna. So if the relaxed black sauna works 5% more effectively, it's negligible compared to the other saunas. But if you have money and you want the best, it's worth the difference. If you don't have a whole lot of money, it is not worth the difference. $2,000 to $1,300. Maybe if it's sold for $1,500 or $1,600, it might be worth it, but not at $2,000.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah, I was wondering. And then you also have a lie down one, and then some lamps. That's kind of cool, because I always like I have red light shining on me during all the interviews, and
yeah,
that's something you can just put in your workplace, right? The little table lamp.
The table lamp is incredible. I mean, I used to sell the Hitachi twin head electric massager at conferences before we discovered the relax sauna, and I'd sell 40 in a weekend. The relax sauna far infrared table lamp can do wonders. It can do wonders. It can return eyesight. It returned hearing. It got rid of tooth pain. It got rid of infections. Miracle. One lady put the relax sauna table lamp on. She would inject B12 shots into her thigh, and she put the relax sauna lamp, and in real time, all the blue marks, all the purple marks disappeared, and she was totally blown away. And the lie down, the lie down sauna.
Sorry.
Some people love to lie down. It works just as well. It's 1,000 watts instead of 1,500 watts, but it works just as effectively, and it's it puts any other lie down sauna to shame. We had one lady. She had a $2,300 lie down sauna she'd bought from another company. She sold it to me for a $200 rebate on the relax sauna. Lie down sauna. She said there was a night and day difference.
Wow, super cool. I love it. Well, let's see. Our first question here: what are the benefits of a far infrared sauna over a steam sauna?
The far infrared energy is energy medicine. The energy pulsates with your water molecules. It increases your core temperature. Steam saunas only get you hot on the outside. They don't have that energetic effect, and you'll never. It'll be very, very difficult to feel the chi within your body moving with a steam sauna or with any, a finished sauna as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree. Do you suggest using binders after the sauna, like activated charcoal, chlorella, clay?
Those are, many, many options. Many naturopathic doctors, many functional medicine doctors, or nutritional consultants will recommend those things, and each will have a different protocol, and they're all good. I've had my health food store now since 1980, and I've been into fasting, intermittent fasting. Didn't even know that's what it was called, and I just started doing it naturally. And there are many things you can do. There's bentonite clay. There are all these things that you can do, and I recommend them all.
Awesome. I used to make a drink. My favorite sauna drink was lemon and basically lemon and ginger. I think sometimes I'd put cayenne pepper in there, but just lemon and ginger drink is super refreshing in the sauna.
Yeah, my
this is actually
favorite,
a good segue.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
My favorite drink is the Master Cleanser, the lemon juice, maple syrup, cayenne pepper. Yeah. Oh, I've done 10-day, 13-day fast on that, 3-day fast, 7-day fast. I love that. I love that drink. And I do a lot
of maple syrup, maybe like a gallon a week. Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of ginger too. I love ginger and turmeric.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All great stuff. What about electrolytes and minerals? I had a couple questions on that. should you be concerned about sweating out your minerals? Or you can put just some salt in your water, right? Some good clean sea salt.
Yeah, Celtic sea salt, Himalayan salt, real salt, or the trace mineral formula by Trace Mineral Company, or any other, or any good mineral supplement, are all recommended. And again, I give people the choice. It's probably a good idea. My ex-wife used to get on my case to always. I didn't do it very much because I eat pretty healthy, and every so often I would get a leg cramp, and I said, "Okay, it's time for me to start doing the minerals."
It's amazing how much they run the body. I've been studying just magnesium for years and taking mega doses of magnesium and getting amazing results. So,
magnesium
what are your thoughts on
is number 12, by the way, and 12 is a special number.
12.
Yeah, magnesium is the periodic table number is 12, so it's very special because of that.
That's super cool. Heavy metals. I had 3 questions with heavy metals. How to get rid of heavy metals from vaccines that are sitting in the brain, stuck in the body. Does sweating help remove any of them from the brain, or do you need binders? And then, do 5G towers interact with heavy metals?
Well, I've heard that aluminum in the body, from the chemtrails and from the deodorants and all, the aluminum acts as an antenna to make the Wi-Fi from the cell phones, or the Wi-Fi, or even the 5G, to activate it more and to make it more stronger in being a poison to the body. And as a poison, we detoxify. We had Karen Russell back in 2007, November, bought a relaxed sauna from us at one of the medical conferences. And within 1 month, all her heavy metals were back to normal. Now, I think it's because she had tried all these other things, but they were dormant in her and couldn't finish the job. And so within a month, her mercury and lead levels were normal for the first time in 2.5 years on her monthly tests. And so, and we did test someone after, the people in Taiwan who make the relaxed sauna said, "Oh, really? It gets rid of heavy metals? We didn't know that." And so they did a little test of their own. It's not really a scientific thing, but a man, urinated before, he got in the sauna, and then he went in the sauna for 15 minutes. And then the next time he gave urine, there was way, way, way more heavy metals in the urine than there was before. So it's going to get the heavy metals to go out through the urine and the sweat and the colon. And so I don't have any proof of this. It's very, very hard to do proofs, but we have many, many doctors, and they're all the sauna companies. They all, report that they have many, many anecdotal instances where people don't have heavy metals nearly as much as they did. So I think it's a good. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to increase heavy metals, and I'd say 90% more. It's going to reduce them.
I love it, and it's my understanding like phthalates and even radioactive particles can leave through the sweat.
Yes,
there's some research on that because
dioxins and plastics. And Dr. Sherry Rogers, in her book Detoxify or Die, said that the only way she knows to get plastics out of the body, or phthalates, is through saunas, through far infrared saunas. It's the only way she knows in 2001. So, oh my gosh, the far infrared saunas can do wonders because, again, it increases your core body temperature. Finnish saunas are great. They have a lot of benefit. I have nothing wrong with them. I highly recommend them. But if you want to do what Dr. Sherry Rogers called the superior sauna, then you want the far infrared sauna, because they can do so much more than the regular saunas can. And a lot of people who are touting the Finnish saunas, they don't quite realize that. But that's okay. Finnish saunas are great, and they've proven in 20-year studies that those Finns who do sweating, the difference is phenomenal between those who do it 4 to 7 times a week compared to those who only do it 1 time.
I've seen that research. Yeah, it's very real. And I think I've said this story before on my podcast, but years ago I was volunteering at a Run for the Cure, like a cancer fundraiser. And it was just such like an LSD moment to look at the table the picnic table, and they had plastic, filtered, probably tap water in plastic bottles with UV light, sunlight, not covered. Just these plastic bottles that people were walking up and just, oh, here, free water, guys, free cancer, just plastic. It's like people don't make the connection in the conventional world that plastic causes. I mean, it's a primary cause of cancer, like phthalates and dioxins. So
right. Yeah.
I think that could be the cause of a lot of underlying issues in people, right? Hormonal, especially. So.
Well, there's one man. He had a relaxed sauna, and then he got into a swimming pool. And he got the chlorine, which is another name for dioxins, in his body, and he was nauseous. And 10, 15, 20 minutes in the relaxed sauna, all the nauseousness was gone. Yeah, the dioxins and the phthalates, or the most people aren't totally aware that those are plastics and chlorine and fluorine that are in the body that need to get out. And the far infrared saunas, through increasing the core temperature, are one of the best ways to get them out. And the relaxed sauna, of course, works so much more effectively. And again, this seems like hearsay when I say that, especially when you own a $5,000 water sauna. But the doctor, not a doctor, but she owns a clinic in colon hydrotherapy and a hyperbaric oxygen. Her name is Rebecca Harder, and she wrote this book called Gastra Girl. And in the book, she's got 8 pages on the relaxed sauna, and she relates her story. I've been selling wooden saunas for 10 years in my clinic, and she's got the beautiful, pristine clinic made out of wood and everything. And she says, and I turned my nose up at the relaxed sauna. Every year I saw them at the conferences. And then she got in the relaxed sauna, and in 3 minutes she was sold because she could feel the difference. She could feel the difference. Mm-hmm. Instant relaxation. And this is what people, and Dr. Young, again, Dr. Robert O. Young, for 20 years, he's been promoting wooden saunas, wooden infrared saunas. And he gets in the relaxed sauna, boom, sold. And he and his partner have been very, very strong in promoting the relaxed sauna for many years. And they love it.
That's awesome. Let's see, suggested frequency and duration of use, or how many sessions per week is best?
Well, I think 2 or 3 times a week is minimal. I use it almost every day. I skip a morning or 2 every month. Like 2 days ago, I didn't use it. I didn't feel like using it. I didn't want to use it. I didn't use it. But I usually use it every morning. First thing I get up, I drink about 12 ounces of water. I get in the sauna. At 8 minutes, I'm sweating. In 15 minutes, I'm dripping. 20 minutes, I'm drenched. I get out, I drink some water, maybe take a shower, then go back and do the same thing all over again, or maybe not take a shower and go in after I've been out for 2 or 3 minutes. A friend of mine, she'll drink water constantly while she's in the sauna and do it for 30, 40 minutes. Most people, 15, 20 minutes will give you a great sweat. But what's really exciting about the relaxed sauna, we go to a lot of autism conferences also. Kids get in, and in 5 to 7 minutes, all the anxiety is gone. And so you can use the relaxed sauna with your clothes on. And I have put over 125,000 people in the relaxed sauna over the last 18 years. And people with arthritis pain of 12, any other kind of pain of 8, 9, 10, 12, 6, 4, 3, it goes down. And sometimes we get a 12 to go down to a 0 in their clothes, because far infrared goes to the clothes. I had a man in Austin, Texas. He had a motorcycle accident 4 years ago. He's been in constant pain of 6.5 for 4 years. He got in the sauna and it got reduced to 3 in 10 minutes. He bought one.
Wow.
And then he texted me and said, "It does work. It works."
That's really cool. This is actually a good question that you made me think of. Someone asked, if you don't shower immediately, does the existing sweat soak back into the skin? And I've thought about that over the years. And I think like Wendy Myers, some other people in the health space said like they run to the shower after, but it doesn't really make sense, right? That they would absorb in that quickly.
Again, that ugly fear monger raises its ugly head and makes you afraid you're going to absorb the toxins. I took rebounding training back with Al Carter, and the lymphatic system is a one-way valve. And when you're excreting sweat, when you're outflowing, getting rid of sweat, you're not going to absorb the toxins back into the body. I mean, I don't, it just makes no sense in the world. As a matter of fact, one colon hydrotherapist said, Phil, it's best to wait 20 minutes before you take a shower because your body's going to continue to detoxify for another 20 minutes. Now, you can towel dry, and people who don't have showers at their offices, I said, no, the ideal situation is to wait 20 minutes, especially if you only do it two or three times a week. Sometimes I shower right after, sometimes I don't. But no fear. Oh, absolutely, get rid of that monster. Throw it out the window. You're not going to absorb toxins. And if you are, in the slight bit, you're not going to absorb more than 5 or 2%, and it's okay. Fear is crazy. My belief is that you're not going to absorb toxins because your lymphatic system is in outflow mode. Now, I know that if you put aloe vera on your body or any kind of cream and you warm your body up, like if you want to absorb ozone, you get in the sauna, and a lot of people do ozone saunas. They use the relaxed sauna, and they use either a professional model with an oxygen tank, or they use just a little cheaper sauna that takes it from the air. And we sell ozone saunas for people who want them. We can sell them, and there's a couple ozone companies that sell the relaxed sauna as well, because the heat will increase the absorption of the ozone. You open up the pores, and there's a guy who does some kind of bicycle and then uses the relaxed sauna afterwards. I mean, the relaxed sauna is used doing IV therapy by Dr. Anderson in his cancer clinic in Washington State. And a lot of people who do IV therapy, they can't get a needle into the vein, and they put people in the 5 to 7 minutes in the relaxed sauna, and then they can do it. And the beauty of the relaxed sauna is that you use it with your clothes on for 5 to 7 minutes to get rid of pain and inflammation, and it's instant. I once had really chills. I got in, and boom, the chills were gone in 2 minutes. Another time, once in the last 18 years, I was having an asthma attack. I got in with 3-4 minutes, totally gone. One of the best things in the world for the lungs is a far infrared sauna. It helps oxygenate, and that's the key with all this coronavirus. This one doctor says, in the emergency room, he says, I've never seen anything so close to it's altitude sickness, he says. And what they need oxygen. They need to be oxygenated. And so we've been selling oxygen products. I mean, Ed McCabe wrote a book called Oxygen Therapies and Flood Your Body with Oxygen, and chlorine dioxide, the MMS, by Jim Humble is one example of a very, very concentrated, something that I don't do unless I'm very, very, conscious of. But the oxygen products, the OxyCleanse, the OxyLift, the OxyCaps, the Super Oxy, the magnesium peroxide and the chlorine dioxide will oxygenate your cells. And that's very, very important. And the relaxed sauna will augment these things, and the relaxed sauna will create nitric oxide in the body and ATP. And the nitric oxide, just by the name oxide, I think that oxygenates the cells, and that creates loads of oxygen, and the healthy bacteria will thrive, and the anaerobic bacteria will die in the presence of oxygen. So, in the first 2-3 days of a flu, using the relaxed sauna is highly not the relaxed sauna, but using a sauna is highly recommended by MedCram, 46, 47, and I think 55. They all recommend saunas. I mean, all those, and this is a medical group explaining what the coronavirus does. And I'm sitting here saying, I've been into holistic health since 1971 when I got into fasting after I had a Kundalini experience, after I had an out-of-body experience the 2 years before. And so, I was really sensitive back then. And it's like, there are so many, Dr. Brownstein, Dr. Rowan, they say, hey, Dr. Akpinar, they all have solutions that they're healing 99%, 100% of the people coming to them are not dying, and they're recovering. And oh my gosh, the establishment drives me crazy, and they've been doing that for 50 years.
Yeah, that was all great stuff. And you made me think of a study. I did a solo show just with me talking all about the coronavirus and my thoughts on it. And there was a study I found called Coronavirus Disease 2019 on ScienceDirect.com.
Yeah.
And one of the methods, you might have seen this, they used to inactivate the coronavirus in the blood was with heat, just heat alone. And you can mix that with methylene blue and UV light, which I recommend, and visible light, which is a photosensitizer, that methylene blue stuff. But like just light therapy alone, like that's my top antiviral. Like I'll use oregano oil and different things, but even if this thing is like a real threat, which I don't think it is, oregano oil, heat, light, they're good. I mean, to me, it's I'm good at least.
Well, like I said, Dr. Akpinar recommends ozone infused with ultraviolet light, and then that, intravenously, and then the relaxed sauna. The light, the heat, the far infrared heat, and the ozone, the oxygen, and those are even people are having a lot of success with vitamin C doses every hour, vitamin A, vitamin D. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like I've driven myself crazy for the last week. Instead of doing work and writing and working on my book, I'm listening to every single video I can on the coronavirus. I mean, I'm almost beside myself in because the whole thing is like worse than a science horror fiction film. I mean, people are running around with their chickens with their heads chopped off. They're crying chicken little. The sky is falling, and everything's fine. It's like the flu. Right. It's like the flu. Maybe it's worse. Maybe it's not. Go to alternative health. They can help you. People won't die. People die of the flu every year. It's the same amount as last year as this year, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Okay, how many deaths are caused by sickness? I don't think that's changed, because it seems like they're trying to call everything, and then the data is being manipulated because, politicians who've decided to do shutdowns, if it's turned out that this was all, based on false science or inaccurate data, they're going to look bad. So they're trying to protect themselves, and it's getting worse. When all else fails, tell the truth.
I've been kind of, Alex Jones is just he's a comedian, if anything. He's probably a disinfo agent, but
because if you don't cry, you're going to laugh. If you don't laugh, you have to cry.
He's had some great shows recently talking about Fauci and how he was kind of the cause of all this, and NIH, and just the whole how everyone's all involved.
I heard that myself.
It's just a big show. Yeah.
Like what Foster Gamble said in his movie Thrive. Follow the money, and then for some reason, little minds want to control other people. I can't. That's weird.
Yeah, I was talking to my friend Josh yesterday. The silver lining, like the good that came out of this to me, is that I see more people outside, and I'm less on Instagram and social media. I'm going outside more, even myself, and that's a big benefit. And there's that aspect, and then people are becoming more aware of their health. Like I have a supplement line. I sell vitamin E and K27, and my sales are increasing, and I'm doing well.
Right.
And, I'm not fear mongering, like saying you need my supplements to be healthy, but I'm just talking about health in general, and people are just more open, right, to health right now. So.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's, you have to laugh, and there is a silver lining, and things are happening the way they're happening. And so here's a great spiritual lesson I learned. Instead of complaining about what isn't or wasn't, you just accept what is and take it from there. And to me, that was profound. I realized it about 6 months ago. Instead of complaining about what wasn't, to just accept what is. Like if you like in my company, you look at it and say, well, there's all these problems and ... Yeah, well, let's pretend we just landed here and let's fix it. We don't want to complain about it, because complaining, we can do the research later. Let's just, what do we need to do to get things running smoothly?
I like that. Yeah, I think homesteading and is a big part of it, and planting fruit trees, but just homesteading and getting more self-sufficient. That's what I'm working on here. Got goose and chickens and greenhouse and stuff. And
Yeah, you're having the time of your life, and that's great.
yeah,
Now
and trying to
there was
inspire
another.
others. So what about the? Oh, Gus, sorry. Go ahead.
But like it's funny, like people will complain about the relaxed sauna tent, and they then see
Uh-huh.
we're the only portable sauna that does not have any plastic in it. The only one. The all the other ones,
Oh.
as far as I can tell, they have corrugated plastic holding up their tents. Our tents pop up in 20 seconds. Okay, they don't take. There's no corrugated plastic in our sauna tent, and all the other ones do, and they complain about the relaxed sauna, and they complain about EMF when the corrugated plastic in their tent is probably, anyway, I don't know the data, but I prefer to talk about the track record that the relaxed sauna has had in the United States for 18 years, with over 800 video testimonies on YouTube, with 20 to 40,000 customers of the relaxed sauna, all pretty happy, and we're going strong, and it works. It works. It's a product that cleanses and detoxifies.
Have you had testimonials? I got questions about, does it help with weight loss, eczema, varicose veins, like spider veins? You had testimonials about those things?
All of them. We've had 3 or 4 different people testimonies who've lost 50 to 100 pounds or more. One lady said she lost a pound a week for 2 years. Another lady lost about 100, I think 85 pounds in like 6 months or a year. I'm not sure. Another man that I know, and I know all these people personally, lost a lot of weight as well. He was about 300 pounds, and now he's about 180, 210. And not only that, it helped transform their whole diet. See, it's just the tip of the iceberg. You start feeling healthier, and now you have the strength. It mobilizes you to be sensitive enough that when you eat sugar, it doesn't feel good anymore, because you're cleansing the body. So now you don't want to eat sugar. You don't want to eat white flour. You don't want to eat foods that are deficient of nutrients. And so it's a great effect. In terms of spider veins, yes, we've had good success with that, with varicose veins. The relaxed sauna, again, it increases the microcirculation, so it gets rid of diabetic ulcers. It can get rid of MRSA. We have a sister product that is a medical device. See, the one of the radiators alone in the relaxed sauna is used in a stand-up with 5 rolls on it, or 5 whatever, and it's a roll-away thing that you can put directly on a wound or a diabetic ulcer. And this one lady who sells a $40,000 infrared sauna, and she said she bought the relaxed sauna Sky Eye radiator, and her mom was on antibiotics for 8 months and could not get rid of the MRSA. And in 4.5 weeks, the relaxed sauna radiator, the Sky Eye radiator, which is a medical device, and there's 2 of those radiators in the relaxed sauna, but the relaxed sauna is not a medical device, okay? So this got rid of the MRSA and healed the wound in 4.5 weeks. After 8.5
Wow.
months of antibiotic, couldn't do a thing. And
I'm
so
seeing the pictures. Those are wild.
yeah, and diabetic ulcers and any kind of wounds, even the sauna, if you have small diabetic ulcers, you get in the sauna. If you have a large one, a really large, like a 2-inch by 1.5-inch, oval, then just buy the radiator. Even try the table lamp, but the radiator is a professional model, is a medical device. It's been a medical device since 2006, and it's effective. It's the relaxed sauna generator deserves the Nobel Prize. What they did, what they accomplished, I mean, they plugged into some kind of supernatural energy. I don't know what they did, but there's no other radiator that can make you feel this good this quickly, and it can do what it does.
That's really interesting. Yeah, and I see you have Momentum 98, and you can learn more about it. You have like the little brochure and all the things that it does. And
Yeah, relaxed
It seems
saunas.
like you just sit there on the couch with it.
Right. Yeah. Momentum98.com was my original health food store that we still have the website up, 1980. And then for people who want to
Wow.
know the relaxed saunas, relaxsaunas.com. And you've got a code that they can use, don't you? On relaxsaunas.com.
Yeah.
What's that code?
Yeah, Blackburn,
Okay.
Blackburn, and they save $100, I think. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And that will help them for economic reasons, and also, it'll show us how effective that this radio interview, or not radio, but this audio interview is, because but it's going to make a big difference in your life. I think we give a 30-day money back guarantee on it, and I mean it has transformed thousands of people's lives and their health within a week or two. I mean, people are amazed in 2-3 days how much better they feel. And you know that from your experiences. I mean, you told me that, what'd you tell me in a text the other day?
Yeah, just super relaxed. I mean, the name is perfect, the Relax Sauna, because that's the main effect I feel. I think just because it's mirroring those far infrared wavelengths back onto me, but the relaxation effect is multiplied compared to any other sauna I've used, including the wooden ones, because I think that's an important point to make about the big, what are they? Usually hemlock wood, like Costco wooden saunas or whatever, is they're not reflecting the infrared. And so it's just sending them out from those panels. And some of it's hitting you, some of it's not, some of it's just hitting the wood and just being absorbed, right? It's not even reflecting back to you. So it's really inefficient.
Yeah, you have to be in front of the panel for it to work. So if you're in a wooden sauna with a mirror, not a mirror, but with a window in front of you, you're not getting any far infrared in that part of your body. And if you're in a two-person sauna and you're sitting way on one side, on the right side, then the left side is not. It's too far away to really make the impact that you want to make. And so that's just one of about a dozen reasons why the relaxed sauna is more effective. And I told you the story about the lady who said she had never experienced such a deep, profound sense of relaxation, having owned a wooden sauna for 5 years and been in it many times. But it's really funny. There's a joke I can tell on myself. We've been selling the relaxed sauna at shows for about 8 years. This is about 10 years ago. And I asked one lady how she felt after she got out, and she said, relaxed. And then 8 minutes later, I asked another lady who get out next, how do you feel? Relaxed. And then I still didn't have an impression yet. And when the third lady, 8 minutes later, came out and said, how do you feel? And she said, relaxed. I said, oh shit. That's why they call it the relaxed sauna. I never put 2 and 2 together. So that's sort of funny. It is.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just that easy. You just.
Well, Dr. Young
questions. These are.
Yeah, Dr. Young likes to call it the real.
Phillip.
Dr. Young, Robert O. Young, keeps on calling it the real sauna because it's real. It actually is real.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So someone asked, is it easy to fold up and put away in between sessions? They said they don't have much space, but it doesn't take up that much space anyway. But
no,
I have it in a little corner in my bathroom.
Yeah, it's 2 feet 8 inches by 2 feet 9 inches. But I can if you do beat the clock on me, I can tear it down in 55 seconds. And
awesome.
It takes about 2-3 minutes for me to pop it up and get it all set, and about 55 seconds or a minute to tear it down. But that's going at high neck, at really redneck speed, or whatever you want to say. But it's really fast. It just pops right up. And we got, I got a video on YouTube of me setting it up and tearing it down, about 2 or 3 of them from about 10 years ago.
Awesome. And is it important for the head to sweat? Someone asked.
The head's going to sweat with your head out. Your head's going to, that's the first thing that starts sweating. I got pictures of people at the booth, and they got so much sweat, especially bald men, you can tell on. I mean, the sweat is just pouring. I mean, and their heads out. And again, I like to say we're pro-choice. We're the only green sauna because we recirculate the light because of the mirrors. And we're the pro-choice sauna because we give you the choice to put your head in or out. And even if you're 6'6" tall, you can still duck your head. maybe for 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, it'll take 10 minutes for your sinuses to clear, but if you stick your head in 2 minutes, it'll clear.
I've experienced that, definitely. I don't know if this question's applicable, but what temperature does it heat to?
That's a great question, because again, the fear mongering things comes in. A doctor will say, you want it to be 105, you want it to be 110, you want it to be 130, you want it to be 140, oh, you need it to be 170. No, and you want to be comfortable. Because in maybe in the thinnest saunas you want it to be hot, but for in a far infrared sauna, the increase of core temperature, that's where the magic happens. And so, like I said, when you're in the sauna and you're too hot after 22 minutes, we have, I call it STC, sophisticated temperature control. You unzip the zipper and you find a temperature you're comfortable at. Now, I would say that within the first 3 to 5 minutes, your temperature in the relaxed sauna is between 130 and 140 degrees. And I've experienced slowly but surely, it will creep up there and get to be 150, 160, and it can get up to 169, okay? But that's too hot for me, and so you just unzip the zipper and make sure yourself comfortable, and that's the best thing. You want to be comfortable, and then the magic of the increasing the core temperature, that does the magic. So if you're too hot, unzip the zipper. You don't need, and the temperature, it does get up to 130, 140, which is a lot of people want it to get there. But you don't need to be a lot hotter. And the temperature in the sauna is almost like a distraction. It does not matter what the outside temperature is. Now, maybe in 1% of the instances it does. I could be wrong, but this is what I currently believe. And I'm not attached to any belief that I have, because, in every belief you have the letters LIE. So every belief, BELIEF, there's a lie in every belief. It's only a temporary truth, because a belief is temporary. It means you don't know. And I'm into knowingness. And the only knowingness you have is in the present moment, connecting to that still small voice within you. And that knows everything, because that's what you truly are.
Awesome. All right, Phillip. Well, last question. Any warnings? Are saunas safe for young children, women that are pregnant? Anything to be careful with? Or
there was a Finnish study that came out, and I was so grateful. It finally came out and said that pregnant women are okay in saunas. And the first year we were selling the relaxed sauna, one lady came to the booth and said, boy, I did it through my whole pregnancy. It was great. Baby came out super healthy. And then everywhere you read, even the naturopathic doctors, even the functional medical doctors, they're all brainwashed to believe that if you're pregnant, you shouldn't go into a sauna. And I don't know where in the world that came from, but I did discover many years ago that the only thing that's safe to do if you're pregnant is to sit on your bed and twiddle your thumbs, because everything else is dangerous. And the lawyers have gotten into everything. It's like, the lawyers, so I would say, consult your doctor. Hopefully you have an alternative doctor, and do it gingerly. If you love saunas and you've been doing saunas for years and you're pregnant, well, why change? Now, if you've never done saunas, no company wants to be blamed for a miscarriage. No company wants to be blamed for a miscarriage. So as long as you accept responsibility and you listen to your body and do it gingerly, you should be okay. But again, I'm not saying, and would never say, that you can do it. I'm saying a Finnish study showed that you could, and that'd be fine. And the far infrared is a whole lot safer than a Finnish sauna, because it also increases core temperature. So, and as for little kids, I say the relaxed sauna is good for anyone from age 1 to 100. And if you're 105, probably it's still good. But basically, we go to autism conferences. We've been to 4 or 5, and the kids go in. They sit on their mom's lap. They sit on their dad's lap. They're age 3 or 4 or 5. At age 8, 9, 10, You don't have to do a full sweat. They can go in for 5 or 10 minutes. They can keep the zipper open. We have 2 switches. We have high dose and low dose. With one switch on, only one of the radiators is on. And you can have the left radiator or the right radiator, or I always put them both on. But if I want to meditate in it and not be brought back into my body, I'll put one radiator on and I'll be able to meditate for 25 minutes. But if I meditate and I get out, after 8-10 minutes, I come back because it's too hot. So you can just put one radiator on and do a 25-minute meditation in there. It's really not meditation. It's a contemplation. Most people have no clue what meditation is, but it's sitting still and getting to that point where you feel grounded, and then from there do things that can move you into higher states of consciousness. And that we can always go into that later.
Awesome, Phillip. I really appreciate your time and all of your knowledge and sharing your wisdom and expertise. And I really think you have the best sauna out there. And I think it's really a place to start with health, because I get messages every day, like people, asking me pretty much for medical advice. And I say, I can't give that. But what I would do, what I recommend, where I started, was start sweating and get a shower filter, drink clean water that I have on my website. But just start with water, and sweating is related to water. So if someone just focuses on the water aspect of their life will massively improve in all areas.
Well, Dr. Jerry Pollack discovered that light actually makes the water, the fourth phase of water, the light in the far infrared light is actually the most effective light for getting the water molecules to do something special. So it's really exciting, what light and, like, again, pure earth, pure water, pure air, and pure fire. And that's the light. That's the healing. That's the far infrared light.
I love it. Awesome, Phillip. Well, stick around while I close out the show. And thanks so much for coming on.
Great. It's been fun. It's been really just a delight.
Okay. Thanks so much. Hang on while I close it out here.
And remember, the best thing about the relaxed sauna are those side effects of joy and euphoria that it's so difficult to get from another sauna. And that's what makes the relaxed sauna super, super special, that clarity of mind and the joy and the freedom that you feel after getting out. You almost feel euphoric.
Phillip Wilson, very interesting man. That was a really fun chat. I love people like that. People that are older chronologically. He's definitely not older biologically, but chronologically older, with that attitude and just zest for life. That's really inspiring to me, because that's definitely how I will be when I'm that age and beyond. So Phillip Wilson, awesome guy, really fun to talk to. And it's obvious that we have spiritual differences. I'm a Christian that looks to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and guidance and voice, but we can still have a respectful conversation. And I don't think there will ever be a time where I have a guest on the show where we agree on everything with health and spirituality and psychology and philosophy and all of that. And that'd be boring, right? But I just always like to say that, because people might say, Matt, he's saying all these things and you're a Christian, you're just letting him say it. Well, yeah, because he's a guest on my show. And it's obviously health related, Mitolife Radio, but there's also a spiritual component, emotional, mental. Health is more than just physical. We know this. And there will be differences with spiritual philosophies. And that's fine. As I said, I could still have a respectful conversation with somebody on the show. So, and we all have a journey, right? For me, my journey led back to Jesus Christ. And if you want to go back, you can see my interview with Doreen Virtue. She is an ex-New Ager that returned to Jesus. And then also Stephen Bancars. And Stephen has just an awesome YouTube channel. He has a great testimonial. If you just search YouTube, Stephen Bancars testimonial of coming back to Jesus. But you have to find what works for you, right? And what works for me is Christianity and having that strong foundation and relationship with Christ. It's not a religion, it's a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I think just as others are very open about their spiritual beliefs, I too will be open. And I think we as Christians should be open with our spiritual beliefs and not be afraid to quote scripture like John 14:6 that says, I am the way and the truth and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. There's a lot of truth in the Holy Scripture, especially for me, the New Testament, because that's the new covenant and it's different from the Old Testament. So anyway, little rant there. Back to health and light and far infrared light. I really enjoyed the part where we talked about non-native EMF and his beliefs even about the virus and fear of non-native electromagnetic fields and how that's actually worse. And people just freak out about the smallest things when they're missing the biggest things. Like, for example, why would you worry about some non-native EMF maybe hitting your feet in a hour sauna session? And as I say in the interview, not worry about having a cell phone in your pocket that's not on airplane mode, or a cell phone on your lap when you're driving, or putting a microwave transmitter cell phone to your head, even for a 30-second phone call, which does way more damage than an hour sauna session, even with EMFs. People just don't think about these things. Or how about showering without a shower filter, or not drinking pure water? And this is actually something that I wanted to make a point of and go further into. As I said in the interview, if people just started with the water aspect of their life, which most people don't have clean water outside their body or inside their body, it goes hand in hand, of course, but getting a pristine hydro water filter, even the travel system, $800, put it on credit. That's what I did. Whatever you have to do, get that unit. You can make it an under-counter unit if that's all you can afford. Get their shower filter, the dual KDF. I have that on my website as well. You just replace the filters once a year. It's just a small investment. And then you just replace the filters, and now you have clean bathing and drinking water. That is huge. And then if you get this sauna, and it's $1,100 with my discount, now you have a sauna, shower filter, and clean drinking water. Now you can give your body a water change. And this is what I started doing years ago. And even though I was protein deficient because I wasn't eating animal flesh, and I was deficient in B complex vitamins because supplements aren't the same as animal flesh, and I wasn't getting bioavailable copper, which is in beef liver, and I was just really deficient in a lot of really key nutrients, I was still getting out the toxins in the sauna that was, I believe, keeping me somewhat clear. Because a lot of people that are on these extreme diets are going to be deficient in pretty much everything, but especially vitamin E, vitamin K2, magnesium. They're going to have trace mineral deficiencies, tons of different problems going on. And then stack on top of that phthalates and dioxin and PCBs and radiation and heavy metals because they don't sweat and they don't dump these things. That's where you get the extreme fog. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen that when you're trying to have a conversation with someone and there's just a wall in their eyes and you see you're not getting any further. And it's a mental block. It's a mental block that's not allowing the information in. And that might be a good thing because a lot of the information out there is BS. But if you're in a safe space, you're in your home, you're with trusted people, then that's not a good thing because you want the information to get in. And so, yeah, drinking water filter, shower filter, far infrared sauna like the Relax Sauna, that's an amazing start for your health. And it's way better, as I talk about, than spending $1,700 on liposomal, cube detox, glutathione, vitamin C, whatever. I'm not even a fan of IVs. I think maybe in extreme context, but I think people jump to these extreme things way before saying, I wonder if the sulfuric and nitric acid that I'm drinking and bathing in is causing an immunosuppressive response. I wonder if being severely magnesium bicarbonate deficient is turning off 42% of my enzyme activity that are magnesium bicarbonate dependent and causing all of these issues that I'm having, all of these symptoms that I'm having. So start at the ground level, start at the basement floor, start at the foundation with water. And yes, you can give yourself a water change, just like if you've kept fish tanks. You get the bad water out and you put the good water in. And I still drink coffee every day. I pretty much don't take a day off. And coffee's a diuretic. It's bad. It's making you dehydrated. Is it? Or is it getting the unstructured water out of your body? That's something to ponder. So back to non-native EMFs too, to finish on that. If you keep your system strong and then stack some of these things, I would say the biggest thing with non-native EMF is that water, that trio I just talked about, the water filter, drinking water filter, the shower filter, and the sauna. If you can just get that under control, then your system will be a lot more resilient to these non-native electromagnetic fields that are causing biological harm, as Martin Paul lays out in lectures all over YouTube. And then if you're a man and you want to protect your testes, which are one of the things that gets hit the hardest, the reproductive organs, man or woman, with EMFs, you can go to my website, Fawn's EMF Reducing Underwear 3-pack. I have a discount. It's $116. You get 3 pairs. Get 2 of those and you have, I guess you could wear the same pair. They're pretty antibacterial, but I have one for each day of the week, and that's all I wear for underwear. And for women, you can go to lessemf.com, and they have women's EMF protecting clothing. They're definitely a little more expensive. There's definitely a market for EMF protection for women. That's just huge. That would blow up if someone started that business, and I'd be a part of that. Also, Blue Shield, they have multiple different devices that can help people out. The Tesla series, they have a portable and a cube. If you just get those 2 to start, because that's a common question I get, which Blue Shield products should I get? The cube and then the portable for when you go out. But the most important unit is the one at home, because that's where you sleep. So you definitely want a powerful plug-in that you can keep at home. And then ideally have a portable for when you go out, and that's your umbrella so you don't get wet with the EMF rain, metaphorically speaking. So those are huge. And then also the Magnetico sleep pad. I interviewed Dean Bonley back on the podcast. I've been sleeping on these for years. Huge fan. Kevin Trudeau, actually, in his book, Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About, this has been talked about for a very long time. I think they've been around for just about 20 years. And I've been sleeping on the 20 Gauss for a few years now. I started with the 10 Gauss. Huge difference. And they have research on their website to back up the chelation with these devices. I call them devices, but there's nothing plugged in. It's just amplifying the Earth's magnetism that is weaker. And it's natural. It's not harmful. You only get hit with the negative polarity. On the product page, actually, I have an old Magnetico sleep review video when I was living in the RV. I think it's a half hour long. There might be some new age concepts in there because I was a new ager back then, but overall, I'm sure there's some good information there. So we covered EMF blocking clothes, Blue Shield, Magnetico sleep pad. I mean, you're really covered at that point. And then remember, the foundation is water, so drinking, bathing, and then do the water change in the sauna. Magnesium. If you have that water filter, the amazing thing about that travel water system for $800 with my discount is you can get the electrolyte balance powder and start making your own concentrate. Because there's already magnesium bicarbonate in the water because it's bumped up with the filter, but you can make a concentrate and you do shots throughout the day. And how much do you take? There's no rhyme or reason. There's no, strict dose. It really is the more the better, but just do the bowel tolerance test. So if you go to the bathroom and you have loose stools, then just back off the dosage. And you can get the Stetzer dirty electricity filters as well. That's more of a context thing. I find if you're in a more rural area, you may not need them. You really have to test with their meter. But I have a Dave Stetzer interview way back, and that's a really affordable way to do it. Even if you just did the bedroom, put a few of those Stetzer filters in. And that's EMFs. And then if you want to get the Soma Vedic, they have multiple different devices, and I had them on the show as well. And it's endless how much you can stack. And it's really about staying ahead. And so you think about people that are doing no mitigation with being vitamin E and K2 and magnesium deficient and not having shilajit and the minerals and all these aspects. they're getting hit so hard. But if you just start implementing what you can, and as much as you can, financially, for the most part, because you need money to get a lot of these tools, then you start feeling the difference. You start feeling resilience to all of these things that are being thrown at us. So everything works together. Definitely being on my CLF protocol helps reducing those accumulations that inhibit oxygen from getting to the tissue. And then remember that you need copper to utilize oxygen. So a lot of people talk about getting oxygen. But how do you use oxygen? And Morley Robbins, that I interviewed, definitely recommend listening to my first podcast interview with Morley Robbins. I'd say that was one of my best. A lot of people got a lot out of that interview. And it was called How Minerals Run the Show. And he talks a lot about iron, copper, and magnesium. He says those are the only three minerals that truly matter, because people get all strung out on all the different elements, and you play the element game. But how about just focusing on copper and you don't supplement it? You get it from bee pollen, whole food vitamin C, or beef liver. Those are the only sources. And I would say if you're doing bee pollen, you better be doing a ton of it, or whole food vitamin C. Beef liver, to me, is my favorite source of copper. And copper allows the mitochondria to use oxygen. You have to use it. That's the cytochrome C oxidase, and it works with red light. And there's this beautiful interplay. Also, vitamin E helps with the mitochondria and red light. It all works together in this really amazing symphony. So check out all that stuff to think about. I just threw up on my website the MRET water activator. This is from my friend Brandon that he has through Shen Blossom. And this is the last step after you put it through the pristine hydro filter. If you want to vortex it again, the filter already vortexes it. But if you want to vortex it longer, I think Mayu just came out with a new device. I'm playing with that one, or you could just vortex it with a magnetic stir. There's different methods. And then this would be the last step. It's hitting it with ELF low frequencies. And there's a patent 6022479 by Igor Smirnov. It's called Molecular Resonance Effect Technology, MRET. And all my water goes through this final stage. And I do feel the difference. And so, as I said, stack what you can and do what you can. Definitely the sauna has been a game changer for my health journey. I would say the clarity that it's brought me to build my business, to just think clearer, to make better and better decisions. I mean, you can't think properly if you have all these accumulations in your body. And the sauna gets rid of a few groups of accumulations. And then how about the calcification? How are you going to get rid of that? How about the lipofuscin? How about the fibrosis? And that's where my CLF protocol comes in. And so it's really about removing these accumulations of toxicity. And most people just overlook the polyunsaturated fats, which to me, I think is the plant-based diet. Because you're looking at nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, soy, vegetables, polyunsaturated fats. That's a PUFA diet. And that's going to complex with iron because you're drinking and bathing iron, spring water, iron, well water, tons of iron, raised with iron fortification. It doesn't leave you. And that complexes with all these PUFAs. And that's why I call the vegan diet the PUFA diet. It really is. And the result of that is not pretty. You get lipofuscin. You see it on the forehead. You see it on the forearms. These brown age spots, ceroid pigments that are in spots that get a lot of sunlight, ultraviolet light, because ultraviolet light makes it spread like wildfire. Aluminum does as well. Different toxins, but mainly ultraviolet light and aluminum. Estrogen, which the PUFAs increase. So check out his website, relaxsaunas.com. I think he has some great products on there. If you just started with his silver sauna, the Relax Far Infrared Sauna, use the discount code Blackburn and you save $100. Definitely amazing investment. And as he said, it lasts for years and years. What do you say, 15 or 20 years? that's a worthwhile investment. And you could even set it up in front of your computer, in front of your TV or whatever, put on YouTube, do your phone calls in that thing. It's so versatile. You don't have to just sit in there and do nothing. If you're super busy and you have to get stuff done or you want to keep researching, that's what I did for years. And I would fully sit inside and listen to interviews and different things. Did that for a long time. So the Relax Sauna you can see on my website, matt-blackburn.com, as well as all of my other recommended products, my favorite air filters. I have the chili pad on there, blue blocking glasses, beef liver capsules, bone broth, which I drink every single day, my favorite collagen, my favorite sea salt, my Mitolife products, where you can also go to mitolife.co and see those. I just released a vitamin K2 in the MK7 form, which is only found in fermented soy, natto, and aged cheese. Most people aren't eating either of those foods. So 2 capsules of my Purely K has 400 micrograms of K27. And this has multiple mitochondrial effects, multiple effects on the bone. I link to a lot of studies on the product page where you can check that out. Beneficial for the metabolism, the whole body. I mean, when we're talking about the fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, if you have the magnesium, you have the shilajit, and you have E and K, and then you're eating animal products for the A and D, you're really set. And you'll start to see everything getting better with your health. Also want to mention, I just put up on the website the Shen Blossom products, the Protect Cough Syrup and the Reishi Syrup. All of his syrups are awesome, but those two in particular, the Reishi Syrup on ice cream is just mind-blowing. And I've had on the website for a while the Immune Throat Sprays. I think that's essential to have in your cabinet if you speak a lot like myself and you just talk a lot, and that's dehydrating with your throat, right? You're just losing a lot of water. And so that spray really helps to hydrate the throat and just keep it coated and soothed and all of that stuff. And then actually the next product, the Sinuorega, right below the Shen Blossom products, the nasal spray, unbelievable. Like those two, the Immune Throat Spray and the nasal spray from North American Urban Spice, is an incredible combo to keep your sinuses and just that whole area working at the best capacity. So I'm really happy with how this show is growing. It gives me a voice to vent sometimes with a lot of the craziness that I see in the biohacking community or the health community. And I like being controversial and a trailblazer and just bouncing ideas off of people, because I listen to other shows and I just get bored. Extreme Health Radio is really an exception. I think Justin and Kate are doing awesome things on their show and having awesome people on and sharing great big picture perspectives. So definitely check out Extreme Health Radio. My friend John just launched a show called Rewild Miami. Definitely check that one out as well. So really appreciate the community that I'm in, and I have to go build a goat stand, so I'm gonna head out, and I'll leave you with today's quote by Sang Wang from the book Reverse Aging. A married couple sleeping together lives long. I am sure that there are some emotional benefits to help them, but another reason may be that while sleeping, they act as transmitters and receivers of far-infrared waves to each other. If you sleep alone, you act as a transmitter without receiving any far-infrared waves. People say that so-and-so has good vibrations. Well, when you are sitting together with someone and talking, you are sending away and receiving vibrations of far-infrared radiation.